right, we have done quite a bit of work already with circles. Up to now, you have had problems that have said, write the equation for the circle with this center and this radius, and you have simply plugged them into the formula that you see up here on the board. So this much should look familiar. We've done a little bit, mostly with some examples that I've given you of, here is the equation already in this form, draw the graph of it. Today what we're going to do is we are going to take circles, but the equations are not going to look like this. They're going to be in general form. So we have to complete the square twice so that we can get one parenthesis squared plus another parenthesis squared so that it will look like this and we know how to graph it. So first example, can you look at that equation and just immediately tell me the center and the radius and start drawing the graph? I sure can't. I have to do some work before I get there. So that's what we are going to do now. So when we are doing these, we need to get the x's together, x squared minus 6x, and leave a space. Then we need to get the y's together, y squared plus 8y, and leave a space. And then get all of the numbers on the right-hand side, negative 21. Then we're going to complete the square on the x's, so we're going to have a short parentheses, x with something squared, and then we're going to have another short parentheses, y with something squared, and figure out what it has to equal. So Tessa, what needs to go in my short x parentheses? What needs to go down here in the short one? And how do we get that? We take half of the minus 6 is a minus 3, and then you were first answering what needed to go in the one up here, which is because x minus 3 times x minus 3 is x squared minus 6x plus 9. Gavin, what needs to go in the short y parentheses? And we got that again by taking half of the 8 is 4. So y plus 4 times y plus 4 gives me what, Elizabeth? Plus minus times plus 16. Now when I wrote this plus 9, I changed the problem. What I had down at first was the original problem. I wrote a plus 9. Is it multiplied times anything out front? So it really and truly is a plus 9. So if I add 9 on the left, I add 9 on the right. Same thing with the 16. It's not multiplied by anything in front of the parentheses. So I added 16 on the left. So I add 16 on the right. And now, Maggie, what do I have on the right? So 25 minus 21 gives me 4. Can you look at the equation that we have now and tell me about this circle? Callum, tell me about this circle now. So the radius is 2. What else do we know about this circle? Giselle? Do we know the center? Opposites of what you see in there. 3, negative 4. Because remember, in our equation, x minus h, just h is the x coordinate, so it's always the opposite of what is inside of each of those parentheses. So now we simply need to sketch the graph. So center is 3, negative 4. So I put a dot there. Radius is 2, so I'm going to do dots in 4 directions, straight up, straight down, straight left, straight right. So 2, 2, 2, and 2. So I have 5 points. I'm going to draw the best circle I can freehand then, going through those 4 points that are on the circle. Those 5 points, the center always needs to be identified, what it is, either over here on the side in your work, or you can write it right in here on the, or near the center point. If these other 4 points are all lattice points, I want to know their coordinates, either in the plain blank workspace or actually on the graph. So if this is 3, negative 4, if I go straight up and straight down, I'm still going across 3, so my x-coordinate is still 3. Instead of being at -4, if I am 2 above that, I am at -2. If the center is -4 and I'm 2 below that, I am at -6. For the left and the right, my y-coordinate is still going to be even with the center point, so the y-coordinates of those are both still -4. If the center was at 3 and I go 2 to the right, I am at 5 for that x-coordinate. If I was at 3, -4, and I go 2 to the left of 3, I am at 1. So now I have labeled all 5 lattice points either actually on the circle or over here in my workspace. That makes sense for expectations on that. Okay, let's do 2 more of these. A couple of little different twists on some of these. So can't look at that, it's in general form, so we need to convert it to standard form so we can see what the center is. So we began by getting the x's together again. Leave a space, get the y's together. Move the constant 6 over to the right-hand side so it becomes a -6. Then we need to get our 2 short parentheses so that we will have it in the form that we need. Shane, what needs to go here in my short x parentheses? So we're going to take half of this +4, which is +2. Casey, if I take x + 2 times x + 2, what do I have for my long parentheses? So I have a +4, which was multiplied by a 1, so it's a true +4. So I'm going to also add 4 on the right side. What needs to go in this short y parentheses? Holly? So -3, because that was half of the -6. So y -3 times y -3 gives me what in this long parentheses, Sydney? I need a +9 times a 1 out here in front, so a real true +9. And what in the world does that give me on the right-hand side? 7. Okay. So, center of this thing. Hope, what's the center? -2, 3. That's not too bad. But what about the radius? Morgan? Yeah, √7. So if I'm wanting to draw this, -2, 3, that's okay, not a problem there. But I don't know, I've got to draw a radius now. Am I going to come into the first quadrant? What about, am I going to come down here into the third quadrant? So first, √7 is between what 2 integers? Ryan? 2 and 3, because 7's between 4 and 9, so take those square roots, it's between 2 and 3. I wonder if it's closer to 2 or 3. Somebody punch √7 in on your calculator and tell me about what we get. So a little more than 2.5. So I am going to go about 2.5 above to the right. So yes, that will put me into the first quadrant just a little bit. 2.5 straight down will not get me to the third quadrant. And 2.5 over here will get me like that. And then I am going to draw this as best I can going through those 4 points. Will those be lattice points if I've gone up, down, left, and right √7? So I'm not going to actually figure out the coordinates. I need to either in my workspace or on my graph label the center, which I've already done, either in my workspace or on the graph or both. I can draw one radius wherever I want in there and label it √7. Questions with that one? Okay, then final example for today. What is different? What jumps out at you when you see this equation? What's different from the 2 that we've just done? Skylar? Yeah, we've got that 2x squared and 2y squared. With parabolas, we had the provision for something, an a in front of the parentheses, right? Do we have anything in our formula for circles that allows something besides 1 out there? No. So we're going to have to convert this problem. It will only be a circle if your x squared and y squared coefficients are equal to each other. You can't have a 2x squared and a 3y squared and get a circle. You can get a different conic section, but not a circle. So first thing that we are going to do is to go through and divide everything by 2 so that now we have 1x squared and 1y squared. Then we're going to do what we were doing before. We are going to put the x's together. So now it's 1x squared minus a half x. And put the y's together. They are now 1y squared plus a half y. Bring the constant over on the right-hand side. It was minus 3 halves, so now it's plus 3 halves. So this will be a little bit messier to complete the squares here. But I need a short x parentheses and a short y parentheses equals something. Benjamin, what needs to go here in my short x parentheses? So if we take half of minus a half, we get minus a fourth. Evan, if we square that and fill in this long x parentheses, what do I need to put here? Plus minus times? Well, it's a plus. Where I'm going to add it. 1/16. Everybody good with that? If I added a 16th over there, I need to add a 16th over on the right. And we're almost there. Mia, what needs to go in my short y parentheses? And if we take y plus a fourth times y plus a fourth, what needs to be added to my long y parentheses? Maya? Plus 1/16, and it was times a 1, so we add a 16th on the right. So let's see, a 16th and a 16th, 2/16, that's 1/8, right? And 3 halves, that's going to be 12/8. So I have 13/8. Gina, what's the center of the circle? And the radius? Square root of 13/8. So root 13 over square root of 8. What's root 8? 2 root 2. Let's rationalize the denominator. So we have root 26 over 4. Did this one say we needed to graph it? It said we needed to describe the circle. So Catalina, in general, when you want to describe a circle, what do you need to tell me about it? Yep, have we done that? So we finished this problem. Any questions on these kinds of problems?